Welshpool area's housing market has been on fire over the past 2 years. A perfect storm of post-COVID demand for the Montgomeryshire lifestyle, a lack of supply, low interest rates and stamp duty breaks have all contributed to unprecedented house price rises since the summer of 2020. But has all that come to a shattering halt following the past month's London political upheaval that has sent tremors through the entire country's housing market?
Good morning, McCartneys.
We spoke to the local experts who have offered a fascinating insight into what's happened over the past couple of years, the situation we face now, and more importantly, what the future may hold.
Manic really is the only way to describe it. So what we experienced was a pent-up demand from people who would have done something in a positive spring in 19, but obviously couldn't. We also had then huge demand from people who'd been locked down in towns and cities looking to escape that environment, get to somewhere more rural, fresh air and countryside being the key really for those people. So we had huge demand from people looking to move into the area. And also that was coupled with a lack of stock, lack of supply of property coming onto the market. There was a lot of uncertainty about still as to quite where we were going with COVID, so people were perhaps reluctant to put properties on the market at that time. So huge demand, lack of supply, and of course that just created massive competition for every property that was listed at the time. We were experiencing multiple viewings on every property, the vast majority of properties exceeding their asking prices, plenty going to best and final offers, sealed bids, that sort of idea. So it was a really, really very busy time, and that continued then right the way through the rest of the year. That was fueled further by stamp duty breaks from the government, of course, for a period of time. People were trying to get transactions through before those breaks ended. They were saving a little bit of money. And of course, people had saved during COVID as well, so they were perhaps able to put that extra bit of cash towards a property purchase. They could go the extra mile, perhaps a little more than they would have done previously. So since then, locally, we've seen growth of at least 20%. So it's a huge figure, and in some instances, far more than that as well. A specific example was a property that we'd listed at 850,000. We had an offer prior to COVID on that, which was a little bit lower. That sale fell through. We relisted it afterwards, and it actually made 950, so went for 100,000 over that asking price. Quite incredible. Another example was somebody viewing a property which we'd listed the first day of viewings. There were probably 10 or 12 people booked in. First chap through the door just said, "What price does it need to be for me to secure it? I just don't want this being competed against with me." And that was it. He put a figure on the table, and it was considerably more than what we were asking for it.
But the world is suddenly a different place. So is Welshpool immune to the turmoil that has rocked the industry?
Okay, things have quietened down considerably. The demand has reduced. So where we were listing things previously 6 months ago, for argument's sake, and you'd list a property, you'd instantly have 10, 12, 20 people wanting to view it. That's now perhaps 1 or 2 people wanting to view it in those first few days. So there's a drastic reduction in the demand at the moment. People are cautious, rightly so, very, very cautious. They're reassessing finances. What's it going to cost them? What's the affordability going to be? So we're in a period of real uncertainty. Equally, quite a few people just perhaps holding back from putting their property on the market again now. That really buoyant time has just dropped off, and people are perhaps reluctant to put their property on the market in what they perceive to maybe soon a falling market. So it's a real change from what it was. That's probably been coupled with a little bit more of the seasonal activity that we used to see pre-COVID. So people have been able to get away on holiday and things this year, so that's just had a bit of an impact in the late summer. Autumn traditionally was perhaps a very strong time again to market, but because of that uncertainty at the moment, we're just seeing things are a little bit capped as we. So we think that there will be perhaps a correction in pricing as we move forward. So as we stand here at the moment, still perhaps a reasonably good time to sell. If you're waiting 6 months to sell, you may find that prices have come back a little bit. I don't think we'll lose the entire growth that we've seen, but there may be this correction in pricing, I suspect. And equally, that does present good news for buyers. It may be worth biding your time a little bit at the moment. You may just get slightly better value for money as we move forward. So perhaps don't be too quick to jump on something as we speak, but obviously there could be changes in interest rates as well. So you've really got to weigh that up and see what the best option is for you.
So what about those that are looking to buy during these tricky times? There are some wise words of advice from one mortgage broker in the town.
The Bank of England base rate has gone up 2%. Last December, it was 0.25%. Now it's 2.25%. But what we found is that some fixed rates, without going into politics and war and everything else, interest rates have jumped up nearly 4%, certain loan to value brackets. So the interest rates have gone up way above and beyond what the Bank of England base rate has done, which makes me think, this is just my opinion, I can see rates maybe creeping up a little bit, but I think they've gone up that much this year that they can't continue to rise like they have been. There might be slight rises. There's another Bank of England announcement November and December. You might see another 0.25% rise in those, but I think there's been that much of a rise in the last 9 months that in my opinion, that can't continue, or people are going to, there's going to start to be repossessions and things. So I just think that there's been a big correction this year, and we're just going to have to see what next year holds. But my personal opinion is I don't think interest rates are going to go much higher than where they are now.
There will certainly be some interesting times ahead.